This is the debut, very first episode of the Yankified podcast. I am your host, Donald, and I'm looking forward to bringing you some extra Yankee content for you on the weekends. And I can see we've already got plenty in the chat, so I want to say a big thank you to everyone who is up and ready to go. Who we got? We got Regil the Great. Don, man, hello. How's it going, Regil? We got Stevie B in the chat. What's happening? We've got Uncle T. Salute to Uncle T. He is the founder. He is the man. We love Uncle T. We have got, who else we got? We got CT Cards in the chat. Salute to you. We got O1. What is good, O1? How are you? And we got Graham Highlander. Now, Graham Highlander told me that he is living in Orkney, so it has to be midnight over there in Orkney. And I can't thank him enough for obviously having the coffee and ready to rock and roll with us. So that guy gets a special welcome as well. Who else is in the chat? Who else? Come and say hello. We got Jonathan. What's up, Jonathan? What is happening? Got Regil the Great. What's Regil the Great done for us? The family's ready for 2025. And he has handed out a membership for a month. Salute to Regil. Thank you so much. We got Jack Esposito. What is happening, Jack? We got Cold Italian Pizza, one of the best names on YouTube. Graham says he is loaded with caffeine. That is a proper Yankee fan right there, man. Well, we got Mark Gaze here. Hi, my friend. Hi, man. How are you? Stevie. Donald is here. Donald is here. Hey, y'all. I was rude yesterday. I don't know what he's talking about. So you're all good as far as I'm concerned. So what is happening to everybody? How is everybody's New Year been so far? I mean, it's obviously quiet on the Yankee front, but wow, what an offseason it's already been, man. We got to take stock here. We got to take stock and see where we're at as a team. And that's what we're going to get into because I still think the Yankees are a bat short. And I don't want to have the recency bias of what we're seeing from like Andy Martino and things like that. I didn't really agree with what Andy Martino had to say. I did to like 50% of it. That I do think that the Yankees as it stands are a more well-rounded club right now. I do agree with that. I think we're more well-rounded. And so, to be honest, in the situation where we lose a Juan Soto, I have to say I think the Yankees pivoted excellent. I can't criticize Brian Cashman's way of pivoting. I think as the Pinstripe Chronicles, I think if you guys are to check out an episode, if you haven't already done so, I think an underrated episode of ours was the episode where we, as a podcast, Tats and Rob, we had a plan for if we had Soto and plan if we didn't have Soto. I think that was a great episode because a lot of the stuff that we, in particular myself, had Brian Cashman ended up following up on. So I'm not saying he watched the channel. I hope he did, but it just showed that we were all on the right path, and that's a good sign. But like we all agreed, I certainly said I felt that the value in free agency was not on offense. I felt the value in free agency was actually in the pitching side. And I think that's the way that they did it. That's how they did it. They went and got Max Fried, who for me was the best arm, at worst the second best arm in free agency. He was my favorite, and he was the most sought after. There's no question about it, considering the amount of teams that were trying to get him. So I felt that he was a great contract. Now, obviously, it's maybe a year or two too many, but you have to beat off the competition. So that's what we did. We beat off the competition, and we got our guy, Max Fried, now, along with Garrett Cole, are aces of the staff. And we got Luis Gil, the reigning Rookie of the Year. Now you've got a phenomenal top three arms in the rotation. I have to be honest, I think this is the best Yankee rotation we've had since the thousands. Since we rocked and rolled with Roger Clemens and Andy Pettitte. It goes us back to as far as that because of the quality of arms that we've got. I mean, Rodon, I'm not his biggest fan, but I'll tell you what, as a fourth starter, you can't do worse. You can do a hell of a lot worse, I should say. So I'm pretty happy with that. And as a fifth starter, at the moment, unless we get Sasaki, which would be crazy if we did, but I would say most likely scenario is Clark Schmidt as our fifth starter. And for 5 innings, he's as good as it gets. He will give you a quality start every single time over 5 innings. He just can't go any really further than 5 innings. I would love for him to do that, but he doesn't. But still, you've got 5 excellent arms. We don't really have a 6th starter, but I'm sorry if that's the biggest problem that you have in terms of your rotation. We're doing fine. So I'm very happy with I'm very, very happy with our rotation, and we got it. So we've secured our starting rotation. I'm very happy with that. Sean Browning says, since Clemens, Musina, Pettit, El Duque, and Wells, that was an insane team. You guys, if you guys were blessed enough to watch it along with myself, we didn't know how lucky we had it, because it's taken this long to have as good a rotation. And we do have a really good rotation now. So we should be pretty excited about that. So I think Brian Cashman did great with that. No questions there. Another thing that we had, particularly my idea was, you know what? The Milwaukee Brewers, they need starting pitching. They need innings. We have a surplus of starting pitching. Let's go give them Nestor Cortez, and let's go take back Williams, their closer. Boom! Ask and it shall be delivered. For me, that was my favorite move of the offseason. I think that was an absolute steal. Great trade for us. You guys don't. Some people have overrated Clay Holmes, and a lot of it is because the Yankees, they blew smoke up our butts, with Clay Holmes. But let's be honest, Clay Holmes, he was a nightmare in the 9th inning. He really was. He blew a ton of games, and he put the defense under unnecessary strain. He was a nightmare as a closer. I'm so glad that we've upgraded. So glad. Williams is a massive upgrade. It's not even to be believed over Clay Holmes. He is a massive upgrade. Delighted with that move. Now, obviously, he's primarily a changeup guy, so we'll see how Matt Blake works that. Does he just have him only throw changeups, kind of similar to what we had with Tommy Kahnle? I don't know. I hope not, because I think it's best to mix things up a little bit. But I'm very happy with that upgrade. I think it's a great move. So we've massively upgraded a closer. We've massively upgraded in the starting rotation. That was good. We've moved Aaron Judge back to his proper position, and he's much better in right field. Aaron Judge wasn't a disaster in center field until he dropped the easiest fly ball you will ever see at the worst possible time. Never going to forgive him for that, but still, he wasn't a total disaster. He just wasn't very good in center field, because there was a ton of balls that just dropped in front of him. He is going to be much better in right field, and it'll allow him, probably going to give him an extra couple of years, because if he kept staying in center field, his legs were just going to go. So I think he's going to be better in right field. I'm happy with that. Judge is one of the best right fielders in the game, and he was below average center fielder. So for me, you've upgraded in right field. That's fine. Cody Bellinger, slated to play center field. He plays center field at a very high level. So we've upgraded center field because Judge wasn't a good center fielder. That's fine. We've upgraded there. Left field. Let's have a look and see what we're about with Jason Dominguez. Is he going to be as good defensively as Verdugo? Probably not. I wouldn't expect so. But I expect him to be better offensively, because Verdugo was a net negative offensively. I think Dominguez is going to be – this is going to be his full rookie year. I expect him to be league average to start with. He's still a young player. He's going to get better. I see a high level from him and a better future for him. And I say he's got a higher upside than Volpe. I really do believe that. But we'll have to wait and see. It's a rookie year. We have to have minimal expectations, and then if anything, there's room to grow there. But I expect him to be absolutely an upgrade over Verdugo overall. I don't think his defense is going to be bad at all. With a full offseason to work, I think he's going to be fine in left. And I think he's going to be much better offensively. So we've kind of upgraded in the left field as well. So I'm happy with that. So, you by and large, we've upgraded our outfield. I'm okay with that, and we'll see where we're at. But I'll tell you what, there is one glaring need, and that is some on base percentage, because I don't see any on base percentage in this team apart from Aaron Judge. We need someone that can set the table for Judge, and I just don't see who's going to be a leadoff hitter, guys. So let's anyone in the chat, give me your suggestions. Who should be our leadoff hitter? At the moment, I am not seeing who's going to be our leadoff hitter. I don't see it. Let's go through the order. Anthony Volpe, he's not a leadoff hitter. No. I mean, in every single possible offensive metric, he was way below average, Anthony Volpe. That's not fair on him to ask him to be a leadoff hitter. He's better off at the bottom of the order, right? Sean Browning says Jazz. Jazz at the moment looks like he's going to be the leadoff hitter, but if anyone can really say convincingly that he's an ideal leadoff hitter, I think you guys are greatly overrating what he is. Even at his hottest, he's not really an on-base guy. He's got power. He's got a good swing for the right field porch. He's got crazy speed, but he doesn't really draw walks. He doesn't really draw high pitch counts. He's not that. He's got a huge swing. It's a little bit of a golf swing. I think it's ideal for the middle of the order. I don't see him as a top of the order guy. Obviously, one Aaron Judge in the 2 or 3 hole. You got Stanton penciled in the 4 hole. You've got Goldschmidt, who's a middle of the order guy. I'd say probably, what would you say? Would you probably say Cody Bellinger would probably be batting second, probably at the moment. And then you go through it. Jason Dominguez is his rookie year. I think it's a lot of pressure on him to be asked to lead off for an Aaron Judge and set the table for him. I think it'd be more beneficial to him to be in the bottom of the order, to get used to pitching the pitching in the American League. So I think that's a lot of pressure on him. Austin Wells, he's more of a guy, bottom of the order bat, that's going to give you 18 to 20 home runs. So again, he's not really a high OBP guy. So you go through this lineup. Who are on base percentage guys in this lineup? So that's why when Andy Martino says, "Oh, this team is much better than last year," I mean, I think we're more well-rounded. I don't think there's any question about that. I think we've upgraded in terms of base running, because Gleyber Torres was the worst base runner in the majors. There's no question about that. We've upgraded defensively because you're putting guys in the right position. So I'm fine with that. Offensively, we're maybe a little deeper, but we're not as top-heavy. And the big miss is that OBP, because Juan Soto gave you a 420 on base percentage. That's a crazy on base percentage to make up. That's incredibly high on base percentage. That's someone that gets on base almost 50% of the time, and the Yankees just don't have that now. They got Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge, I don't know why anyone would want to pitch to Aaron Judge right now. So that's why I think the Yankees need another bat. But what bat can they turn to? Which bat can they turn to? Because are you going to ask Peraza to play third? I love Peraza, but the one time that he had a chance of winning the job at shortstop, he didn't win it. And the Yankees have never given him a chance since then. He's out of options, so whatever the Yankees choose, he's either going to be on the roster or he's not, because he's out of options. So what are they going to do with Peraza? I don't know. Are they going to trust DJ LeMahieu to suddenly turn back the clock 3 years? I don't see it, because he looks cooked. He looks completely cooked. So I am a little worried about the third base situation. I like Jazz at second. I think he's going to be much better at second than he is at third. Um, so that's where we're at. I think we need a third baseman, but let's have a look at what options are available at third base. I'll tell you what, guys. I think the Yankees missed the beat. Do you know who would have been a good bat to acquire before even getting into the Juan Soto stuff? Jonathan India. Jonathan India would have been a really good acquisition for the Yankees. You put him at second base. He's a leadoff hitter. He gets on base, and then we wouldn't have had to worry about this. You know, you could have had Jazz play third. He'd have been okay, and the Yankees would have had a pretty complete lineup. Because now it's pretty empty. It's pretty empty. I don't know where they're going to turn to, because they look like they're out on Bregman because they don't want to go over the Cohen tax. So then what? So there we're at. Where are we going to go? Regil the Great says the Phillies aren't moving Baum. Baum is probably the best. Is probably the best option, but I don't know if the Phillies would move him. It would probably cost a bit to get him. So where else are you going to go? I don't think Lux is probably the best option. I mean, I don't know, he's okay, but I don't know if he's even available because I think the Dodgers plan on using him. So there's not a plethora of options to turn to. So, but we need someone that can get on base, guys. We really do. So I'm a little concerned about that because as of right now, I don't think there's enough on base percentage, and I think we're going to take a hit there. So I think the first thing that we got to do is we got to move Stroman. But which teams are going to be willing to absorb that Stroman contract? Top of my head, I would say the San Francisco Giants. They desperately need some innings. They desperately need someone that can eat some innings, and they have some money to spend. So maybe the San Francisco Giants is an option. You know, hey, the Baltimore Orioles, maybe the Blue Jays. They could always do that. I don't know, but the Yankees need someone that could absorb some contract, and maybe we take back a reliever or something, and give us a little bit of flexibility to go and try and acquire a infielder that can lead off. But who that is, there's not a lot of options, and I'm not seeing too many options in the chat. So you guys give me some. You guys give me some suggestions, and we'll see if we can help solve this situation. Because I really don't know. Li, just to start with, Donald, keep sleeping on Wells. I'm going to laugh when he proves everyone wrong. I really don't know why you're starting an argument. I didn't say anything about Orson Welles. Orson Welles is one of the best catchers, young catchers in the game. His fielding was like in the 97th percentile. And that's, for me, that's the priority for as a catcher. So defensively, he was phenomenal. Offensively, I mean, I think he's an 18 to 20 home run bat. And I think that's probably his level, and there's nothing wrong with that. For a catcher, that's excellent. So I'm not saying anything bad about Austin Wells. He's fine. I mean, are you expecting him to be Pudge Rodriguez or Jorge Posada? If you are, then I'll be laughing at you because he's not. But he could be very, very good. Very good. No one's saying anything bad about Austin Wells, but he did struggle massively in August, September, and October. That's just a fact. So we have to, again, I don't want to put too much pressure on him. I'm hoping to be surprised. Let's just have decent expectations, but not have crazy expectations, because we haven't seen it yet. But I'm very happy with him, and I think he's excellent defensively, and that is the biggest priority right now for me as a catcher. So I think we're in good shape with that. Graham says, I doubt the Giants will take Stroman. They're looking for front-end starters. Yeah, but there aren't a lot of front-end starters available that they can grab after the first round of free agency passes. I think that's where you're going to get better value, and I think that's where the Giants could maybe go in on someone like Stroman, because there's not a ton of options after after the first wave of free agency. Regil says, I keep saying the Marlins are a money laundering scheme, so we can always work with them. Well, who in particular? Stevie B, the Marlins have payroll flexibility. Well, remember, Derek Jeter walked away from them because they didn't have any, what would you say? I don't think they had any desire to spend to win. So, yeah, Uncle Tats is spot on with going after saying to LI. None of us has slept on Wells. I don't know where he's going with that. He's just, again, LI's is the guy that would argue in an empty room with a wall. So, I mean, he can argue away and start arguments all he wants. I'm not interested in any arguments today. What's our man Graham got to say? I know what you're meaning, but Posey isn't daft. Giants will go trade route. I guess Castillo. That's true. Castillo is a possibility. What is Donnie, my man? How's it going, man? And Donnie says, respect the Tats. We do respect the Tats. We love the Tats. Well, yes, Donnie says, LR argues with himself. He certainly does. Razil says, that's what I meant. If there is ever a chance to work with Miami, they are always happy to do so. So, again, where are we going to go with the infield, guys? So, I'm not seeing too many options. Jacob, Donald, my brother, solo podcast, well deserved. Jacob, so thank you so much for the support. You have been watching me with the Twins and with the Chronicles for a long time. So I do want to say a big salute to Jacob. And we've got 60 people in the chat. So everybody hit that like button. And if you haven't already done so, look into becoming a member. And, join that family. Jonathan says, give Vivas a chance. He is someone that could very well get an opportunity. At the moment, it looks like the options are Vivas, DJ, Oswaldo, and Peraza. Which ones do you like out of that? Let's see. Let me think here. I'm a big fan of Peraza. I don't think the Yankees are. So, have they missed the boat on developing him to the point where he's ready to play every day? I think they probably have. I don't think they did enough with him. So, are they going to give him enough leash? Probably not. I'm not overly confident on how they're going to use Peraza. But I love Peraza. Peraza defensively is freaking phenomenal. Got an incredible arm. Got great range. Love Peraza. The Yankees just don't love him. So let's think about Oswaldo Cabrera. I think Oswaldo is a utility guy. He's not an everyday guy. He offensively bats much better from the left side than he does the right. I think Oswaldo's a terrible second baseman, and I think he's an average third baseman. So I would say, I don't think he's got an everyday bat. I think he's fine in a role that suits him best. Once a week, twice a week, fill in different positions. He's a guy that gives you some versatility. I don't see much more than that. And DJ LeMahieu, that dude is cooked. He is cooked. And we've got NFE in the chat, salute. And we got MH. What is my agent is in the chat. Salute to my agent, MH. MH must be very happy because he's a Met fan. So salute. MH saying, sweet goatee, brother. Well, thanks, man. And Regil, DJ LeFoucault. Let's have a look at DJ's Savant page because I think it will be frightening before we even go any further. We can't consider DJ LeMahieu in all seriousness. We can't. I mean, that guy is cooked. His foot is cooked. What are we gonna do? We can't have DJ LeMahieu. But let's give it a chance. Let's have a look at his baseball savant page and see where we're at because I just don't see the upside in giving DJ LeMahieu the third base job. I don't see it. but let's give it a go. Right, DJ LeMahieu is up. Right, here we go. So it's as bad as could be imagined, guys. It is, if not worse. It is very bad. But let's have a look and see what we're at with this situation. It ain't good. It is definitely not good, guys. It's really not good. Right. DJ LeMahieu is not an option. He is not an option. Not by any stretch of the imagination is he an option. Let's have a look at this page. DJ LeMahieu. Now, he didn't have enough at-bats to really qualify, but in terms of his Savant page, his batting run value was a minus 13. His base running value, minus 2. Now, he does provide fielding value, but offensively, no value at all. Bat speed, it's about in the 5th percentile from what I can gather. Everything else, sweet spot percentage, hard hit percentage, barrel percentage, exit velo, slugging, batting average, expected OBA, all horrific. Walk percentage, horrific. I mean, the dude's cooked. He's there's no other way I can put it. Let's look at his 2023. That's even worse. Batting run value, minus 6. Base running value is actually worse than it was last year, minus 4. His bat speed was 0. Squared up percentage, 0. Great. That's awesome. Barrel percentage, 26th. Slug, 29th. Sweet spot, 22nd. Expected batting average, but everything else, brutal. This is that he's not an option, guys. He is definitely not an option. The Yankees need to move on from this. This is an awful, awful state of affairs. Asking him, what was his on-base percentage last year? 269. His slug, 259. His OPS, 500. I would say you should have an OPS of around 760, 770. His 500 is embarrassing. 2023 was bad. It was nowhere near as bad as last year. 15 home runs, 243 batting average. I mean, that's night and day as opposed to 2024. That was horrendous. This guy is not an option. If the Yankees even think about having him play third base, they're out of their freaking minds. So let's call a spade a spade. That's a terrible contract. They're better off not even having him on the roster. Being honest, they really are. Let's think about the other options. Let's try Oswaldo Cabrera, the other third base option. I mean, he didn't have enough at bats to really qualify, but it wasn't good. His range is good. His arm strength isn't. His fielding is considered average. His base running is considered average. His batting run value, minus 3. His bat speed's not there. His hard hit percentage isn't there. His barrel percentage isn't there. So, really, are you really asking him to be an option? 2023 was even worse. Minus 18. Minus 18 batting run value. That isn't going to work. That's not going to work for me. So that's where we're at. I don't feel good about those options, guys. I really don't feel good about those options. Regil the Great, bat speed is 0. I've never seen anything as bad. Regil says, I pee faster than DJ can swing the bat. I hope so, man. Because if you don't, then you got some kidney problems. So, I mean, it's bad. It's really bad, guys. It's not a good situation. I think the Yankees really need to pay more attention to this situation at third base because you can't ask Oswaldo Cabrera to be an everyday guy. Peraza, he didn't get enough at-bats to even consider me looking at his Savant page. I would say Peraza is the best of the options. So, Gregory, I'd say that Vivas and maybe Arias Yeah, I think Arias is another year or so away, man. I really do. I think maybe even 2 years away. Lombard's awesome. Again, he's going to be another couple of years away. Rachel says, I'm looking at who's available for third base, and it's not good. I completely agree. So that's why I'm not gung ho about our offense. I like a lot of the things we've done, but I'm not going to go overboard and say we're massively better now that Juan Soto's gone. Because Soto was a special player. He really was. I think a lot of it is to do with the acrimonious departure, and I think that's partly why we're, as fans, we want to move on and be like, right, we're going to be better now, but there is a bit of a hole there, and it needs to be filled, but there's not really an ideal option to fill it. I mean, I'll tell you what, had Jurickson Profar played some second or third base last year, I would say get Jurickson Profar in, but he's primarily an outfielder now. So that's not really an option. It's not great. It isn't great. So again, you're looking at maybe Baum. Can we convince Baum? Convince the Phillies, I should say, to move Baum. Baum's not the greatest third baseman in the world, but he's going to give you a good bat. So I'm worried about on base percentage. I really am. I'm worried about it. I don't think our on base situation is particularly good. So I think that's a weakness, guys. I really do. But we're still in a very good shape. It's not doom and gloom by any stretch of the imagination. I actually think that the Yankees had a very good offseason. They're still missing a bat, but there's still plenty of room to add a bat. Who that bat is, I have absolutely no idea. But the thing is, I think Hal Steinbrenner has this very much held to the Cohen tax threshold, and we're very much at that tax threshold. I think the Goldschmidt move was deliberate because the 12.5 takes us right to the Cohen tax threshold limit, and I think that was the hard and fast. I think that was a hard and fast demand. So I don't see us getting a Bellinger. I would love us to. A Bregman. I don't see us getting them though. So I'm going to have a look at the on base percentage of this of this Yankee team and see where we're at. So I'm looking at the on base percentage of last year, guys. Right. So obviously Aaron Judge had the biggest, and it was 458. Juan Soto was second, 419. Gleyber Torres, who's gone, was our third best, and that was 330. The next best is Anthony Volpe at a putrid 29%, 293. Alex Verdugo, fifth, 291. So, let me repeat that our top on-base percentage guys, right, and by the way, I would say three of them were all below average on-base guys. But our top 5 qualified on-base guys, Verdugo's gone, Torres is gone, and Soto's gone. Yeah. I'm just going by what I'm seeing here. It's not ideal. So I'm a little concerned about the on-base percentage, and I'm going to keep beating that drum because it needs to be addressed. We've got Len in the chat. Salute. I'm here to be Yankified. Congrats. Salute, man. What up, man? Graham got to say. I get what you're saying, Donald, but they were playing a different style of ball last year. What style of that is that? Because on-base percentage is pretty much, isn't that just kind of a staple of baseball? You need to get on base in order to drive in runs. who's getting on base for Aaron Judge to drive in runs? So I don't really get that point. They're playing a different style of ball last year. I'm not quite sure what the different style will be. I mean, you need to get on base in order to steal bases because we've improved our speed. You need to get on base in order for Aaron Judge to be able to drive in runs. Because if there's no one on base, they're just going to walk Aaron Judge. That's just what's going to happen. They were relying on hitting dingers the old Yankee way. Well, I mean, how is that going to be any different this year? Because we don't have a lot of on-base guys, so we will probably be asking Stanton and Bellinger and Goldschmidt and Judge to hit home runs. Donald Lynn is the OG of the upper deck. She certainly is. She certainly is. Salute and mug clinks. That's what Lynn's got to say. I've got her pinstripe. I've got her upper deck mug. It's got Lynn, says Lynn on it. So salute to her. She's done great work over there. So you guys have got that to look forward to tomorrow. This is quite cool. We've now actually got a full rota for our watchers on the Pinstripe Chronicles. This is for our members. This is for our subscribers. We've got the Pinstripe Chronicles 3 times a week. And now you got me on a Saturday. And you got Lynn and Sierra on a Sunday. You've now got a full week. You can't get better than that. That's why, for those who haven't already done so, you got to sub up. What it do? Salute to you, Gunplay. How are you, my man? Let's go hit that sub button. Let's do it. Upper Deck Sundays is a banger. Salute, 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 salute. So, yeah, let's take stock. Let's see where we're at. So, we're in a situation where I think we're a bat short. But let's have a look and see where we're at. Because we've actually been through quite a lot as a fan base, guys. We really have. I mean, it wasn't that long ago where we've experienced our first loss of a player, where a player willingly leaves the Yankees. I mean, this is the first time for a lot of us, you know? And not to rehash it, but wow. We've had to endure quite a lot. We've obviously endured quite a lot, but then we've got a lot to be excited about. So it's kind of a mix of emotions, you know? I mean, we had Juan Soto hit one of the most amazing home runs from one of the best at-bats I've ever seen to win us a pennant, to get us to a World Series, the first World Series since 2009. There were so many emotions just attached to that alone. But then we lay the biggest egg we've ever laid in terms of World Series, an embarrassing World Series performance. Let's be honest, it really was. And then right after it, to have the most anticipated GM meetings we've ever experienced, and then have a proper Met Yankee battle for a player, which we've never really had to experience before, and then lose that player, and then to pivot. And it's been a lot. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, and I think this is a good opportunity where we can take stock now and see where we're at. You know, see how we're doing. How are the emotions? How is everybody in the chat doing with it all? Are we excited? Are we sad? Are we angry? Are we disappointed? I'm open to all suggestions because I think only now, you know, we've had a really good time where we've had our families and we've been seeing our families. We've had a nice little break. We had Christmas and we had New Year's, and this is a new start, new year. A lot to be excited about. I can't wait to give you guys Yankee content. I've got all those things to be excited about. And, you know, we've got a pending season coming up. I believe it. You know, we got spring training. We all have a lot of excitement about that. And then we have the season starting, I think, March 27th, something like that. Opening day. There's a lot to be excited about. But then we've also lost, let's just be honest, our best player, if not our second best player. Some people argue he's our best player, Soto. Some people argue he's our second best player. Either way, he's a big loss. It's a lot. I mean, and you can take a step back now and you can look at it in a way. And let's see. Before I get into my thoughts, Jake Boss is disappointed we didn't keep Soto. For that money, Mets can have him. No player's worth that. We'll have a better overall team without him. That's a very good way of putting it. Yeah, we've got Lynn saying 38 days until spring training. That's really soon, actually. Regarding Juan Soto on a personal level, Soto gave me an excitement that I really hadn't had in a while, I have to be honest. Just on a personal note, I felt that he was like a throwback to an era that I could personally connect with, which was like the late 90s, early 2000s, where he was kind of a throwback player. He was an on-base guy. He was clutch, and he just had a bit of balls about him, a bit of, theater about him. And it was incredibly exciting to watch. And he was completely unafraid of the big moment. In fact, he embraced it. And that's what reminded me of the good times as a Yankee fan. It really did. Because, A-Rod, people might hate A-Rod. I don't, whatever, people might hate his personality. But he had that kind of theater about him, where he'd go into Fenway I remember right after the whole steroid stuff and whatever. And he was in Fenway, and the whole of Fenway was booing him, including Yankee fans. Everyone was booing him. Everyone was screaming and roaring and booing him. And he just was completely unbothered and then smashed a home run right out of Fenway to win the Yankees a game. And I was like, that, it takes a bit of balls to do that. That guy had it. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of Soto, because he was completely unbothered by the big spot. That is not something I can say about Aaron Judge. Everybody adores Aaron Judge. I think he's a very good player. He might be one of the best players in Yankee history, but I'll tell you what, he is very bothered about the big spot. He doesn't like it too much. Soto loved it. So that's a bit of a loss. You can't really quantify that, but that's the way I felt. And I loved him and Judge as a partnership. It reminded me of Mantle and Gehrig, Mantle and Maris, even though obviously I wasn't alive for that. But looking at the history books, looking at the videos, kind of reminded me of that. And it's a loss. We're not quite as top heavy. We're not quite as exciting. And the Bronx was, I'll have to be honest, man, because I spent the summer at Yankee Stadium, and the Bronx was buzzing every single game. The Bronx was buzzing, and I loved it. That you felt there was an air of what's Judge and Soto going to do today. There was always that kind of air of excitement, and it's hard to quantify because it's tough. But that's just my personal feelings on it. But again, you take a step back and you go, well, he wasn't a great fielder, and he wasn't the best base runner in the world. So is that worth $800 million? Probably not. But the way that he kind of galvanized the Bronx like no one else has since the thousands is a bit of a loss too. He really just galvanized that clubhouse. He really gave them a bit of a kick up the ass, because for me, before him, the locker room is far too nice, and it just, they needed a bit of a rocket up the ass. You needed a bit of a winning mentality, and I just haven't had that. And that includes Aaron Judge. I just don't see that winning mentality, that toughness, that if we lose, I'm freaking pissed, that kind of stuff. Don't really have that. Kind of missed that. So again, it's going to be a little bit of a miss, guys. I have to be honest. But we fast forward, and what's made it much easier to stomach losing Soto is the way that he kind of behaved, especially during the whole offseason. And actually, to be honest, in the last month of the season. And here's a life lesson, guys, right? For those that need a life lesson, here's one. If someone tells you who they are, listen, right? And I think we all got caught up in this whole Soto stuff, but Soto told us who he was pretty much from day one. He really did. Because what did he say when he hit a home run in every single ballpark? Once he reached that feat, what was the first thing he said? He said, and I quote, "It's a great, it's a great record under my belt for when I get to free agency." He was always planning on going to free agency. He was always saying from the get-go the Yankees had no advantage in the situation. Because why would it matter how many home runs he's hit in every ballpark going into free agency? Only if he had no particular ties to any organization. That's what he basically said. He clearly said that every team had as much chance as the Yankees. And considering how much the fan base just bestowed nothing but love on him and have his name being chanted and people falling over themselves for this guy, for him to not even hold us to any kind of advantage is a bit of a shock, right? It is. I've never experienced something like that. And then what did he say right after the World Series? Right after the World Series, and this is what really got my goat, and I didn't like it. Again, too many people excused it, but I didn't like it. And it was right after the World Series. Volpe's crying. Volpe's in tears. He's heartbroken about how it worked out. Aaron Boone was in tears. Well, maybe not in tears, but he looked like he was in tears. And, the locker room looked pretty broken after losing the World Series. Juan Soto looked pissed, which is good. But then, what did he say right after? He's like, this is like minutes after the very last pitch of the World Series. He's like, the Yankees have no advantage in this situation at all. Every other team has much chance as the Yankees do of getting me. Now, is that partly Boris talk? Yes. But it's also Juan Soto talk. Juan Soto was telling us from the get-go that the Yankees had no advantage in this. And I think that we ignored it because we wanted him so badly to come back. So, if I'm being quite honest, I think the way that he treated the Yankees in the offseason, kind of using the Yankees as leverage in order to get the Mets' best possible offer, I didn't like it. And I think I lost a little bit of respect for it. So it's made it much easier for me to stomach moving on. And I think this will be the last I talk about Juan Soto. But I really feel that he's a huge loss offensively. He's a huge loss in terms of a personality and excitement. But I think there are better ways to use $800 million. So Sean says the 1 year affair meant nothing to him. And that's it. And also it kind of shows like who he is as a man, right? That he got bought over by a multi-billionaire, taking him to his mansion, right? Taking Soto to his mansion, showing him his personal waterfall and, I'm going to get you a personal this and a personal that, a personal suite. You're going to get a personal freaking clothes designer for your mom. Blah-de-blah-de. To be bought like that makes me very uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable. It was all about this with that guy. all about this. I mean, I don't know, man. It just feels a little icky to me. I know, obviously, a lot of people are just going to go for the money, but it's not like the Yankees didn't offer him a lot of money. They offered him $760 million. That's for me. That's 60 million, probably more than I even would have offered him. So, and I'm his biggest fan. I really am. I'm his biggest fan. I absolutely adore the guy, but I don't think going any more than 700 was worth it. So for Hal to go 760, I've got no problems with Hal Steinbrenner at all. He deserves credit for that offer. But I felt that he was getting disrespected during this offseason. I really did. Just to use him as leverage made me very uncomfortable, because I think at that point where Hal put 760 on the table, if Soto had anything about him at all, he would have been like, right, okay, cool. Let's sit down with the Yankees and let's hash out what it would take to make it happen. But he had no interest in coming back. That's what it told me. And I mean, all this stuff that his awful agent, Scott Boras, used to trash the Yankees like they're not a family organization, blaming it on some low-level security guard, is some really low stuff. And I'm glad I've got this platform now where I can say it. I felt that it was really low stuff to start going after low-level security guys as if they had anything to do with why Soto didn't come back to the Yankees. And even Soto, again, dismissed it after. But where did that come from? It came from his agent. His agent had that shit talked about. Heyman then echoed it. And I just feel it's some low stuff. Whatever happened with the security guard, I don't really care. But it never had anything to do with that. It had everything to do with $800 million. It had everything to do with a waterfall in the Mets owner's personal mansion and a promise of personal suites and all that shit. And I think it was just a whole lot of. I just feel like Soto got bought and sold. I think he did. Credit to the Mets. I really think that they did a hell of a job in the negotiations. They did a better job than the Yankees, and I'll tip my cap to that. I think that I think they did a very good job last year. I really like their coaching staff, and salute to that. But if you're being perfectly honest about it, Steve Cohen can't sell the Mets as an entity, Mets as an organization, the Mets as a historical franchise in comparison to the Yankees. So he sold them personal suites, waterfalls, and fucking helicopters and all the shit that just doesn't matter. But that's the only leverage that he had. And it worked. It worked. But it really, for me, it told you everything about Juan Soto. So it's made it easier for me to move on. So let's have a look and see what our people in the chat's got to say. Right, Donnie, exactly. Stevie B, Donald, Boras trashing Yankees made him look bad. Hal and Cashman won't forget what Boras did. Facts. And I really feel that that's probably why the Yankees are not having anything to do with Boras' clients this year. Because why would you have anything to do with Scott Boras after that? So disrespectful. Completely needless. And it's all just to make sure that Soto doesn't come across as a nozzle. That ship's already sailed. He is a nozzle, right? He might be probably the Yankees' best player last year, but he's definitely a nozzle. I think we can all agree on that. Graham says, Soto is a lucky boy that the Rocket or the likes of Goose are still not around. I mean, imagine. I just can't believe that he turned the Yankees down. I really can't. Rob, my man, a brother from another mother. Rob, my guy. I'm looking forward to this platform because we've got lots of opportunities to get. We can do open panels. I can get my guy Rob on. We've got I got some other opportunities. We can maybe get the twins on. We got a bunch of opportunities to get some different content out there for you guys on a Saturday because we can now go and do some deep dives. And I felt this is the right time to do some deep dives. So today we're doing a deep dive into the offseason in general and where we're at as an offense. So moving on from Soto now, how do we pivot? I think we pivoted pretty well. I think we have. I think we have pivoted pretty damn well. The whole Goldschmidt situation, I think that they're probably looking at it in terms of, well, listen, is he an upgrade over Anthony Rizzo and DJ LeMahieu? And absolutely. And the truth is, Goldschmidt is a very, very good player. He's still a good player. Is he the bat that he was 2 years ago? No. But I still think that there's something about him. So let's round off this podcast looking at this situation now by who we've acquired. We've acquired Cody Bellinger and Goldschmidt, and I like both. I mean, listen, at the start of this offseason, I said I wanted Cody Bellinger. I felt that Cody Bellinger would play very well at Yankee Stadium. He's got the right bat for it, and I felt that there was room for upside with him. Because, okay, even last year, right? And it wasn't a good year for him last year. But even last year, 18 homers, 78 RBIs, and a 260 batting average is actually pretty good. That's better than a lot of what we were sending out there, right? So, and we're thinking that there's room to upgrade from that. I think there's room for upside because the year before in 2023, he had a 307 batting average. I mean, 300, phenomenal, and 97 RBIs. And 153 hits and almost 100 runs. And that's in over almost 500 at-bats. I mean, that's a good year. 2023 was an awesome year for him. And guess what? He's not even 30. So there is some room there where I don't think he's going to have a year that he had in 2023, but I still think it'll be better than the year he had in 2024. So even if you got something in between that, I think you're going to be pretty happy with that. But then you look at what was going on with the Dodgers, and then you worry a little bit. 2020, 2021, 2022, his batting average ranged from 160 to 210 to 230, and that's completely unacceptable. So if we get anything like that, then we are in trouble. But I don't think it's going to be like that. I think that he's fixed the mechanical issues in his swing, and I think that there's room where Yankee Stadium will be a benefit to him because of that short porch. He's got the ideal swing for it. He bats from the left side, so he can target that porch, and he's probably going to give you a decent year. I mean, listen, his OPS last year in a bad year was 750. I think it could be up from that. So I would have made that move. I think that's a smart move, and I think for the deal was for Cody Poteet. I think that's a steal, and I'm pretty sure that Brian Cashman wore a ski mask making that deal. So I think I think we should be pretty happy with that. I think that's a good deal, and he's going to really help us in center field. He's a much better center fielder than Aaron Judge, and I think we're in pretty good shape with that. So I'm pretty happy with that move. If you look at his, let's have a look and see what other areas that he can be of benefit. I think that there's certain aspects to his game. He doesn't strike out that much, guys. That's another element that could be a benefit. I like that he doesn't strike out that much these last couple of years. He doesn't really strike out, so that's something as well. Because again, I want to move on from strikeouts. I really hate strikeouts. I'm not a fan of it. I know that it's a sacrilege to the analytics people, but I prefer people that don't strike out. So there's that. And let's have a look and see what we got here with the splits. Versus left hand in 2024, left-handed pitchers in 2024, OPS of 746, slug of 440, and against righties, 750 OPS, 420 slug, so slightly down from lefties, but better against righties. But 14 homers, 46 RBIs as a righty, and versus righties against lefties, 4 homers, 32. So he is better against right-handed pitchers. But by and large, the OPS is pretty similar. Home and away splits. I mean, Chicago is a tough. I think it was a tough ballpark for him. And on the road, he actually was much better than he was in Chicago. That's not a surprise. In 2024, 10 homers, 46 on the road, 8 homers, 32 at home. His batting average was better on the road, 282 as opposed to 247. His OPS was 800 as opposed to 700. Total OPS plus 113 as opposed to 86. So he was actually much better on the road than he is at home. So I think that's something that the Yankees paid attention to. I think Cody Bellinger is actually going to be much better at Yankee Stadium than he is in Chicago. Chicago's a tough stadium for him. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's a good move. I think there's room to grow there. Now, Paul Goldschmidt. I think Goldschmidt is the only debatable move for me. If you look at this whole offseason, I think the only debate that we can have is about Goldschmidt. And that's never the worst possible thing if we're debating about someone who was an MVP a couple of years back. So it's definitely an element of first-year problems. Donnie Clark says, Goldie will have a big year as well. Okay. I hope so, man. I really hope so. But we're going to have a look and see. Let's have a look and see the situation with Goldschmidt. So, last year was a down year for him. 245 batting average. OBP of 302, very poor. OPS 716, not great. OPS plus 98, below average. A WAR of 1. He's a league average fielder for his position, but he's a good base runner. 11 stolen bases last year. Not bad for someone his age. But it goes a little bit beyond that because the second half of the year, he actually fixed whatever mechanical issues he had. He fixed it. In the first half of the year, he had an OPS of about 650-ish, way below average. But then second half of the year, he got his OPS up into about the almost 800s. And that, it looks like that's more him. So I think whatever issues that he had, I think he fixed. And let's go a little bit further than that. You know, he said in his interview that, you know, he made no question about it. He had a bad first half of the year. He apologized for it. And he had some mechanical issues where he was missing some pitches that he wouldn't normally miss. And he started to fix whatever the mechanical issues were. And he was a little bit more of the representative hitter that he was in the second half of the year. So you're hoping that that carries forward into this year. Again, he actually has great numbers at Yankee Stadium. I believe his OPS is like 1,000 in Yankee Stadium. So he's killed the Yankees in the past. And, he was one of the best hitters in baseball not that long ago. 2022. He was the MVP. So, and he was an MVP candidate the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. This guy was one of the best hitters in baseball. I've loved Goldschmidt as a player for a long, long, long time. I remember in that USA versus Japan, and I felt that Goldschmidt was the star of the whole show. Everyone was talking about Trout. Goldschmidt was a better player. Trout shriveled the big spot. Goldschmidt didn't. Goldschmidt was a machine, I think he's an excellent player. So, is he going to be the same Goldschmidt though at 37 years old? That is the question. I'd be surprised, but because we're talking about, let's look at the past with the Yankees in terms of Brian Cashman loves, this is a love that he has. He loves veterans, right? On 1-year deals or trade acquisitions or whatever, he loves bringing in veterans to try and give them one last go around. He's done this a lot, guys. He has. And to varying results. Most of the time, they've not worked out. Remember when he traded for Pudge Rodriguez and he was already cooked? He's done that. Matt Holliday, cooked. Carter, cooked. He's done this a lot. He's done this in the past. He prefers veterans, hoping that they get one last eke out of them. Euclid, Nick Johnson, Josh Donaldson, great example. Regil, he's done this a lot. He loves guys that have had big careers and to give them one last go around. Ichiro, he wasn't the same player, obviously, in Seattle, but he was decent. But there's not been too many. Raul Ibanez was not bad. Harrison Bader, well, yeah, Kevin Brown, but he was a pitcher. But offensively, he loves bringing in guys that are towards the end of their careers, hoping that they get one last round out of them. Remember, he brought back Alfonso Soriano when he was towards the end of his career. It's just one of the case where he prefers that. Brad says Holly was okay, but he lost time due to injury. Well, whatever it is, it didn't work. Donnie says Cashman loves a prove it year. In the Yankees' defense, I think Cashman's thinking, well, I think that he trusts someone that's been there, done that, and has the evidence to prove that they can do it. And he's hoping that moving them to an organization where every game means something and the fans are behind you and, the whole prestige of the Yankees might give them one last extra boost. But let's be honest, 8 times out of 10, it doesn't work. I think that extending Anthony Rizzo recently was probably at a point where I think he was on the decline, but you can make the argument that he was looking great until he got absolutely sledgehammered off Tatis. So, but again, I would have gone younger. DJ LeMahieu, everybody wanted him extended, so obviously we're not going to have that discussion. But I think it was 2 years too long, that contract. It should never have been 6 years, not for someone that age. So, Brad, he brought Tino back. Actually worked. Do you guys remember when Tino had that crazy streak where he hit like a home run every single game for like 10 straight or something like that? He had a crazy streak. So that actually kind of worked, low-key. Aaron Hicks' extension was one of the worst moves in Yankee history, and I stand by that. It was a disgraceful contract. Never should have happened. Sean says, I loved Soriano. Cashman felt bad for trading him. I agree, but that was a long time ago. Stevie B. Donald, I was in the minority that wanted to move on from DJ. That contract aged bad, as Giambi's did. Regil says, we're still paying Hicks. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that absolutely insane? Sean says, Wade Boggs. I mean, the Yankees love their veterans, right? So, listen, if history is anything to go by, The chances are Goldschmidt's not going to be great. And that's probably my what I was a little bit worried about. I like Nathaniel Lowe. He didn't have the offensive upside as Goldschmidt, but he's very consistent. He's a good on base guy, and I felt that he would have served what the Yankees needed a little bit more. Like you could have had him leading off, for instance, you know, and you would have gotten Gold Glove defense as well. Plus, he was cheaper than Goldschmidt. That's what I was kind of thinking, but I don't hate the idea that they went for Goldschmidt because Goldschmidt has the possibility where he can give you 80 plus RBIs and 25 home runs, and for 1 year, considering what he's done to the Yankees in the past, considering how he loves hitting at the Yankee Stadium, I see why the Yankees made that move. So I don't hate it. I think it's fine. As time has gone on, I've warmed to it. So I can see it. It's just I was concerned about the upside. I'm not quite sure what the upside is to that move because let's say best case scenario, he is just a little bit off his MVP season of 2 years ago, right? Are the Yankees going to extend him further after this year at 38 years old? You would hope not. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm not quite sure what the upside is regarding that move. That was my only worry about that. But by and large, I see where they're going with it. Someone that give you a bit of power, someone that can play you some decent defense. He's an upgrade over Rizzo, no question about that. John S. says, are the Yankees getting Correa? Well, considering Correa's contract, his AAV at the moment is around about 35 million AAV. I don't see the Yankees taking on that kind of money. They would need the Twins to eat a big portion of that. Is that going to happen? I would be very surprised. Because why would they pay Correa to play elsewhere when they could just have Correa themselves? Correa did not have a bad year last year. So I don't see that as an option. But I love Carlos Correa. If I had the choice, I would have signed him in free agency a couple of years ago instead of just giving Volpe the keys to the kingdom. I think Carlos Correa had some upside because I mean last year you're looking at Correa batting .310 with a 900 OPS on a 152 OPS plus, 54 RBIs plus phenomenal defense. Carlos Correa is a great player. I love Carlos Correa. I think the Yankees should have signed him in free agency when they had the chance a couple of years past. But they stuck hard and fast to this, these tax limits, and they're letting good players in free agency go. Now he's really got his stock back up in Minnesota. Are the Yankees going to take on that kind of contract? I mean, I'd be surprised. Stevie B says I would rather had Seager over. Well, obviously, the big miss was the fact they didn't take on Seager at all. I can't believe they didn't sign him. It was a no-brainer. If no brains were required to sign Corey Seager. Correa says, well, Correa only played 80 games last year due to injury. Yeah, but those are damn good 80 games. And better than anything the Yankees can offer right now. Rajil says, Don, who's the lefty reliever we need that we don't have on the roster yet? I would say Andrew Chafin. Now, other people would maybe argue Chafin really struggled against the Yankees because I remember just last year, Juan Soto took him deep and then Aaron Judge took him deep. So, in just the space of 3 pitches. But I think if you look at Chafin's career, Chafin's had a very good career. And I think he'd be ideally someone that can eat some innings. And he's a guy that could be a decent setup man on occasion, be a middle reliever. I think he'd be fine in that role. But the other option would be Tim Hill. Bring him back. Graham says Correa got his stock back up. He has issues with both feet. His days at shortstop, I'd say, are numbered. Well, he wouldn't be asked to play shortstop; he'd be asked to play third for us, and I think he'd benefit greatly from that, and I think the Yankees would too. But the Yankees aren't going to take on $35 million. I don't see it. I don't see any way they do that. So you're more likely that the Yankees sign Bregman, but I don't. The Yankees aren't going to sign any free agents right now. I don't see it. No big money free agents. Because when was the last time the Yankees have signed a big money free agent? When? They haven't done it. They haven't really done it since Ellsbury. So at this point, Rob says, I'd take Arenado's contract over Correa's. I mean, Arenado is more likely than any of the other options that we brought up. But Jack Curry made it very, very, very clear, abundantly clear, that the Yankees aren't in on Arenado, so I trust that. Graham says, we'd be over the Cohen tax for years if they took that contract. Well, yeah, but there's a ton of money coming off the books next year. So the Yankees could reset the luxury tax, but I think the Yankees want to have that money set aside in order to go after the free agents next year. We're hoping that Murakami considers the Yankees, and we're hoping that maybe Vlad considers the Yankees, and we're hoping that maybe Tucker would consider the Yankees, one of the three. And I think the Yankees are planning on having money set aside for one big free agent next year. So that leaves, I think the Yankees are probably going to go with a low contract option to play third base. And who that option is, I have no clue, because there's not an abundance of talent that's available. Donnie Clark says, Len, I think Sasaki goes to the Padres. That's just me. Donnie, I actually agree with you. And I said in our previous podcast, if I were representing Sasaki, I would tell him that if you are favoring the West Coast, that the Padres would be the better option than the Dodgers. I think that it's a better situation for him because he could be the man of that pitching rotation. He has that relationship with Yu Darvish, and it's a nice place. And San Diego's a beautiful part of the country, and they got plenty of money. They're a great team. So I think it would be a good situation for him, and there's more upside for him to grow as opposed to just being one of many in the Dodgers. Well, there you go, Donnie. Good point. Ron says, the Yankees are terrible. We will be sellers at the trade deadline. Wow, Ron. Well, thank you so much for hopping on, and we do appreciate the comment. I don't agree that they're terrible because they're probably amongst the favorites in the American League. I mean, I think that they're clear favorites to win the division because the Red Sox have been not made anything massive, crazy moves, and the Orioles have been a little disappointing in this offseason. So the Yankees are the best team in the division. And in terms of the American League, I think the Tigers are making some moves. The Royals are interesting. The Astros, I think, are getting better, and I think the Astros could be a threat. But by and large, the American League isn't making too many crazy moves. So the Yankees have as good a chance as any to represent the American League in the World Series next year. Because if you look at the way that we built this roster, we have improved our base running, we have improved our defense, our lineup is deeper, and our pitching rotation's the best pitching rotation we've had in well over a decade, or more, probably more. So it's just the offense. I don't love our offense. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. I don't love our offense at all. I'm probably a little bit more down on it than others, but I think it's good enough. But they definitely need an on-base percentage guy. They definitely need to acquire a bat that can get on base before I'm confident that they can get to where they were last year. I'm telling you, bro, it's the curse of the Juan B. The Yankees are trending in a bad direction, and the Mets have stolen New York. Ron, I can promise you one thing. Let me promise you one thing. I can't promise you that the Yankees are going to be great next year. I don't have a crystal ball. But I do have a crystal ball that the Mets have not stolen New York. They never have stolen New York, and they never will steal New York. And that I can promise you with all my heart. I can promise you that with all my heart. Even if the Mets have a better year than the Yankees, right, over the next year or two, they still will not have stolen New York. That is absolute facts. The Mets are very much a second-rate organization. They are. They always have been. They have been since the 80s. So let's not. And also, they have their own problems. They haven't really put together a lineup yet. They got Soto, and they've just been like, I'm good. Signed some ex-Yankees. They haven't really done much. Now, they could all be subject to change. And at the moment, I still think the Mets are a better team than the Yankees are, give or take. But I'll tell you what, they will never, ever, ever be New York's team. Ever. Never, ever, ever. It's never going to happen. The truth is, nobody really gives a shit about the Mets outside of Queens. The Yankees are an international organization. Their emblem means far more. It represents greatness. It represents Lou Gehrig, Derek Jeter, frickin' Babe Ruth, the whole shebang. It represents greatness. It just represents something that's special. And the Mets, what does their emblem represent? Nothing. So that's just the fact. So, I mean, even when the Yankees are struggling, they still sell out every single most years. And the Mets, even when they're good, they're kind of middle of the pack in terms of attendance. They don't have much of a fan base. They've got a couple of they got some passionate fans and all that. I get that, but they're not New York's team. Never have been. So Graham Highlander, you ask anyone around the world about baseball and the team they will name, New York Yankees. Yeah. The only two international organizations are the Yankees and the Dodgers that transcend baseball. But it's not sour grapes because I've already, as I say earlier in the podcast, I gave the Mets their flowers. They did a better job enticing Juan Soto, but they didn't, trust me, they didn't entice him with promise of their history and what their organization represents. No. They promised him with $800 million and personal suites and frickin' all kinds of personal things that the Yankees don't need to do. You know, they don't need to have cheerleaders, and they don't need to do all the bells and whistles, and they don't need to do all that kind of shit because they don't need to. They're the Yankees. So, hey, the Mets, what they had to sell is their money, and it worked. So, I give them credit. I think they've done a good job. They've got a good team, but they're not New York's team. And as Lynn says, they have dancers and McGrimace. Yeah, they got some big purple whatever. I don't even know what it is. Dinosaur, whatever the fuck it is. Juan Soto will be to the Yankees what Babe Ruth was to the Red Sox. I completely disagree. Listen, Juan Soto is my favorite player last year, but let's not get carried away. Let's not get carried away. He's not Babe Ruth. The Yankees will be fine. I always believe that the Yankees will be okay. And even if this year doesn't go to plan, there's a hell of a free agency next year where they've got every chance of being a juggernaut again. Trust me, the Yankees will be okay. The Yankees will be okay. And I'm saying that as one of Juan Soto's biggest fans. I'm a huge Soto fan. I argue that he was our best player last year, and even still, I absolutely promise you the Yankees will be okay. So, fear not. We have a lot to be excited about next year, guys. I really do. I think we have. I think we have a lot to be excited about. We might not be as exciting as the team is last year, but we're not as top heavy, and that's not maybe as bad a thing. We're a little bit more balanced. I think we're a better roster, and there's elements of this Yankee team which is better than last year. I'm not going to go overboard like Andy Martino, not by any stretch. Still think there's some work that the Yankees need to do. They need to get a lefty reliever, need to get a third baseman, need to get those kind of things in. But by and large, I think it's been an okay offseason. It could still get better, but we're off to a pretty good start. And we've actually done enough this offseason that it can afford us to be a little bit more patient. But still, trust me, I don't want the Yankees to go on into this season without a serious move at third base. So I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's asses. I still think that we're a bat away, but I think we've done a pretty good job. As good a job as you could possibly do after losing a player like Juan Soto. But Ron is sticking by this, that the Yankees are not good. You're going to be very disappointed. Well, all right. Before I sign off, I want to see why. Why are the Yankees not that good, Ron? All right? And this is a safe space. I'm open to all opinions. I really am. And I count myself as a fan that is just as critical as I am supportive. I try and stick to the facts, and I don't blow smoke up anyone's butts. But I think the Yankees are pretty good. So, Ron, before you give me your reasons, I'll give you my reasons why the Yankees are pretty good, okay? And hear me out. Aaron Judge is still a 45 to 60 home run guy. He's a high on-base guy, 40, 50 on-base guy, and he's a guy that can drive in 120-plus RBIs in a bad year. Very good right fielder. He's one of the best players in baseball. You've got that. You got Big G. Big G, people sleep on Big G, but he's by far the Yankees' best playoff performer. And he was a better playoff performer than even Soto last year. Big G was the truth last year. He was insane. And his bat speed is like the 99th percentile. He is a monster, right? So you got Big G. He is my boy. Big G is my boy. You got him too. And you got Jazz Chisholm, who's still developing. And he's someone that can, even though he's maybe not, he's not. I don't think he's going to be a star, but he's someone that can give you 25 to 30 home runs and give you 30 to 40 steals. That's pretty good too. You got that. So the offense is coming together. Then you got Goldschmidt and Cody Bellinger that were two previous MVPs. That's far from terrible. You got Austin Wells, who's in the 97th percentile in catching. You got Volpe, who's a Gold Glove candidate. Defensively, you have that under your belt. Is it the greatest lineup in the world? Not by any stretch, but it's better than you rank it. Starting rotation is better than almost every team in the majors. Our starting rotation is insane. You got Max Fried, who's one of the best pitchers in baseball. You got Garrett Cole, who before injury was the best pitcher in baseball. You got Luis Gil, the reigning Rookie of the Year. You got Rodon, who's a decent pitcher. He's not great, but he's decent. And you got Clark Schmidt, who is a very good 5-inning pitcher that's going to give you a quality start every single time. That starting rotation stands up with every other rotation in the majors, if not better than all. And it's definitely as good as the Yankees have had in the last decade or so. There's no question about that. Closer-wise, we have excellent closer, one of the better closers in baseball now, in Williams. We've got an excellent setup man situation now with Luke Weaver. The pitching is legit, and it's awesome. And there's a bit more, much better base running in this Yankee team. Goldschmidt had 11 steals. Volpe can steal 20+. Austin Wells is a good base runner. Judge is a good base runner. And Jazz is a steals machine. So That's it. That's all facts. That's none of that is anything other than facts. Okay, so it's not the best team in the world, but it's very good. But let's see what he's got to say, because as I say, we're open to all suggestions. Ron says Volpe is terrible. I'm not the biggest Volpe fan. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass, but he is a Gold Glove candidate, shortstop. I think he's fine. Offensively, he's below average, though. And I don't know what the upside is with Anthony Volpe. So, okay. I'm not going to say that he's terrible. He's an average player. And that's not that bad. Ron, Judge is 33 and a huge guy. That's not going to age well. Okay. Plus, Judge is a choke artist. Okay. But he's still an MVP. I mean, none of that is wrong, but he's still an MVP. So you got to give him his props for that. What else have you got to say? Because right now you're not convincing me. Stanton is not reliable unless it's October, where he's one of the best hitters in postseason history. All right? So far, you're not convincing me. Goldschmidt is 38. That's facts. What else have we got? Cool's 34 and already injury prone. Injury prone is not the right term for him. He had one injury. Apart from that, he's not been injury prone at all. That's it. So you've not really convinced me, my guy. What would you say? There's 70 people in the chat. Which side are you on? Who has had a better convincing argument? The host over here, or someone who's saying the Yankees are terrible? I think I win. Belly and Judge in the outfield is going to be better than half the league. Left field is a question mark, though, so you could have said that. Definitely. That's a better way of putting it. Regil says Stan is Mr. October. He is ridiculous in October. Absolutely insane in October. Absolute hero in October. Wells hits like 220. He's young, but there's upside there. But you can't deny he's one of the best defensive catchers in baseball. Stevie B hosts Donald for the win. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And none of what I said is wrong. And I'm even edging towards the side of caution than anything. I'm not saying that this Yankee team is a juggernaut, not by any stretch. But they're definitely not terrible. And they're definitely one of the better teams in the American League, as is even without a third baseman. Rodon's a contract the Yankees regret. I agree with that. I think it's not a good contract. Martian has had zero to be excited about on the MLB level. Disagree. Not last year, but the year before, when he first broke into the majors, he had like 4 home runs in a short stretch, and he looked like he was the reason why people were actually going to the stadium, because he was making a lot of noise, and people's heads were turned because he was looking incredibly exciting. Then he got injured. So he struggled last year. Yes, he did. But let's not forget that he was a very exciting talent. Donnie says Donald is Ron a Dodger or a Red Sox fan. I don't care. He can be a fan of whoever he wants. I'm just saying the Yankees are not a terrible team by any stretch of the imagination. Stevie B says Yankees are a favorite for the least. Red Sox haven't gotten the players they need. No one wants to go to the Blue Jays. Exactly. The Rays are usually competitive if healthy. Exactly. Ron, he played 18 games last year. You're just reaching at this point. Exactly. Ron, however, I do think Noren would take the Yankees to a much better level. Well, they do need a third baseman. I'm not arguing that they need a third baseman. I spent this whole podcast saying they need a third baseman. But what you're doing is you're backing down from your argument. Because you started off saying the Yankees are terrible and that losing Juan Soto is like losing Babe Ruth. Not even close. Not even close. I mean, did I think that the Yankees were going to recover from losing Derek Jeter to retirement? Derek Jeter was like a Mount Rushmore Yankee. Didi Gregorius did a decent job. He wasn't Derek Jeter, obviously, but he did a decent job for a year or two. The Yankees found a way. The Yankees find a way. They always have. They've moved on. You know, they've had the greatest players of all time. They've had Babe Ruth. They've had Mickey Mantle. They've had Lou Gehrig. They've had all these things, and the Yankees have still found a way. After those guys have retired, they found a way. After Derek Jeter, Aaron Judge comes along. So the Yankees will find a way. You are an enthusiastic fan. This is not a World Series roster. Again, I've already told you guys, I'm not one of those fans that beats a drum. I'm not. I don't wear rose-tinted glasses. I've been more critical than enthusiastic over the years, and that's why I think that this is a good platform to have my own podcast, because I'm not going to give you guys anything other than what I think is the truth. I don't know if the Yankees are a good World Series team right now. I don't think the Yankees could even compete with any of the National League teams that make the World Series this year. I'm telling you that now. But in terms of the American League, if you look at the American League, the Yankees stand up with the rest of the American League even now. Now, are they the best team in the American League? I'm not sure. But they're certainly a team that can get to an ALCS as it stands. They're capable of doing it for those reasons I've given. But I understand your hesitance, because for the same reasons as I've already mentioned in this podcast, I think we are short of on-base percentage. I think that Soto's a bigger loss than some people are making out. I don't like losing 420 on-base percentage, and I certainly don't like losing 40 home runs and 100 plus 140 RBIs or whatever. Certainly don't like losing that. And so I get that. But in terms of the way that the Yankees have pivoted, I've always said that the upside in free agency was with the pitching rather than the offense, and the Yankees made the right move because Max Fried is someone that will give you Cy Young caliber pitching. And pitching wins championships. So I think the Yankees have done okay. They're not terrible, not by any stretch. Ron says Baltimore will be good. I think they'll be good too. But they haven't had a better offseason than the Yankees. I can promise you that. Lynn's cooking here. Ron Slayer said Saturday Night Live start early tonight. Well, as I say, I'm open to anybody. If anybody comes in here, I want to hear you out. I'm not some sort of dude that wears rose-tinted glasses. If there's something that for me to be critical about, I'll be very critical. I have no issues with that. I'm pretty critical of the way that the Yankees have left third base. I'll say that. I'm critical with the fact that I think they need to forget about this Cohen tax and just go and bring in the best possible player they can, which for me is Bregman. So I'll say that because there's not a ton of options out there. But as it stands, I think it's pretty much not a debate that the Yankees are as good as the best teams in the American League right now, if not better. I don't think it's too much debate right there. So that's where we're at. Stevie B says, who's going to protect Soto like Judge did last year on the Mets? Lindor. He's no Judge. Yeah, unless they get unless they acquire maybe Bregman or they bring back Pete Alonso. I'm not quite sure. As it stands, then he doesn't have any protection. So that's going to be interesting. I don't think the Mets are going to stand pat. I really don't. I think Pete Alonso's falling into their laps. Lou says Soto doesn't need protection. Well, that's probably true as well. What's Brad got to say? Baltimore have done next to nothing. That's true. Morton is nowhere near. Yeah, Morton's like 40. Nowhere near Burns. And they haven't signed Santander. Agree. Graham Highlander, they've not addressed it at the moment, or not that we know of, Donald. Cashman doesn't leak. That's very true. That's very true. The best stuff, what I'll say is a big positive about Brian Cashman is a lot of his best moves come out of nowhere. So they usually pull out moves that none of us heard about. Did we know that we were in on Williams? No one knew. Came out of nowhere. Boom. We just got ourselves a closer. Stevie B, Alonso might go to the Giants. I would love him to go to the Giants. If he left the Mets, it would be awesome. The Mets are better than you think. I just said that the Mets are arguably a better team than the Yankees are right now. I like their manager more, and they got Juan Soto. They've done a good job, but they're not New York's team. So, again, I don't know what it's like you're completely deliberately missing everything I'm saying. So, whatever. What's Rob got to say? My brother from another mother. Soto had a career year with Judge behind him. Let's not forget that. And vice versa. I'm not taking anything away from Juan Soto. Him being on base for almost 45% of the time was a huge benefit to Aaron Judge. And vice versa. Juan Soto got much better pitches to hit because Aaron Judge was after him. There's no doubt about that either. Let's not forget that Soto had a career year last year. That is very true. A lot of it was to do with Aaron Judge. So it kind of goes both ways. I would rather disembowel myself with a spoon than be a Mets fan, Donnie. You can trust that. I have zero respect for the New York Mets. Regil, Ron, we want to see you here during the season. Do not hide. Okay. I like that challenge from Regil. Ron, I hope you stick with us because I want to see how this season plays out. And if the Yankees are terrible, then you will have your moment to gloat. But if the Yankees are the best team in the American League East, I don't want to hear you complain. You're always welcome to eat humble pie, jabroni. Love it. But I don't want this to be a show about one particular poster. But as I say, I love people's opinions. And so love the channel. Thank you, man. I do appreciate that. I'm open to all opinions. And I like a good debate. I love a good debate. You know? Open to all opinions. I'm not saying that I'm 100% right. Definitely not saying you're 100% right. So we'll see who wins. Graham, Ron, you're now scraping the barrel and trying to find something that will trigger Donald. You ain't going to do that, by the way. Yeah, dude. You can't mess with me, man. I could debate people under the table. I love it. That's probably why I have my own podcast now. Because I love a good debate. So, well, I think we've thoroughly broke down the offseason. I think we've gone back in time. We've discussed Juan Soto. We've discussed that situation. We've discussed how we pivoted. We've discussed the smart ways in which we pivoted. And we've also discussed the major issue, which is on-base percentage. There's no on-base percentage in this Yankee lineup. That has to be addressed. I really hope that Brian Cashman and his front office are working behind the scenes to address this because they definitely need some on-base percentage in this lineup. If they can get someone that can set the table for Aaron Judge and Big G, I will feel a hell of a lot better about this team. And then if we do, then I'll be like, you know what? I'm pretty excited. I'm excited anyway. And we have some big plans for this channel. So guys, for anyone who's new to the channel, you've now got a full roster. We've got the Pinstripe Chronicles, myself, Rob, who is an absolute monster, by the way. And Rob, we're going to try and force Rob to get more stuff on this channel because we need to get him to break down the Yankee farm system That's something that we're going to do. So anyway, we got myself and Rob, and we got Tats, the founder, the OG, and we do the Pinstripe Chronicles 3 times a week. And then you're going to have me on a Saturday. And then Sunday, we've got Lynn and Sierra. If you guys don't know, I know most of you do, but Lynn and Sierra do a wonderful job on a Sunday. And it's a great, great show. So I felt that, you know what? I think we needed to have a full roster for the new members that come in because, you know, it means a lot to us that we have people that are becoming members and then re-upping each month. And we thought, you know what? We need to give more content for you guys because it means the world to us that you spend your an hour or two out of your day to come and check us out, just talking Yankee ball, whether you're a Yankee fan or not. We respect all fans and anyone's opinions. We really do. And yeah, it just means the world to us. And the 2024 was the best year for the Pinstripe Chronicles. It really was. It was a phenomenal year for our channel because that's where we really grew. That's where we really built our fan base. So I really hope that we can build on that. And at the moment, it looks like we are because I think 2025 is going to be a good year for the channel. So a lot of it and most of it is down to you guys. Everyone that subs up, everyone that's become a member, I can't thank you guys enough. And I hope you guys have had a wonderful New Year and holiday time, Christmas, whatever you celebrate with your families. It's an important time, regardless of guys celebrate Christmas or not. It's an important time to celebrate being with your family and all that stuff. And so I hope it was a good time. And I'm excited for the year ahead. Let's have a good year. And whatever the Yankees do, we'll be here. I'll promise that. So anyway, God bless, guys. I'll be signing off. And you guys have Lynn and Sierra to look forward to tomorrow morning. Stevie B. Donald, I'm still rocking my Yankee hat while working. Yankees will be way better off without Soto. It's a blessing. We got Uncle Tats saying awesome debut, Donald. Uncle Tats, my brother, thank you so much, man. And as Uncle Tats says, wear your pinstripes with pride and play hard. Catch you guys next week.